and that's the speed at which you move. So for example, if I was doing squats and I was just going for 10 squats. So 1, 2, 3, it looks great, I'm working hard, my coach says well done, I'm starting to sweat, I'm breathing heavy, everything's going well on paper, which is great. But after a while, your technique changes and you're just trying to get those last reps out because your coach is cheering you on, which is all great, but your technique changes as you get tired. Even if your first reps are perfect and you can put them on the internet as posters of how to do the exercise, no matter what, everybody fatigues and everybody gets tired. So when you're doing that, as you get tired, through the last couple of reps, your dominant side will really take over then. So as you're coming down, you're pushing back up. So my left leg's doing most of this work. And you'll see the hips are changing. You'll see the feet position change. All like that as I'm driving up. When I'm getting tired, just trying to hit those numbers, you'll see I'm now starting to bow more and my hips aren't going down. On paper I did 10 squats, everything's great. I don't know why I'm getting sore on my lower back, on my dominant side. Don't know. But when you slow down, you have to hit the muscles. Coming down, and now the tension's on the muscles. My muscles are shaking. 3, 2, 1. Slowly up, slowly down. So I'm under tension a lot longer. So I pumped out 10 squats in about 10-20 seconds, and half that maybe was under tension, so it's broken up the whole time. Here I'm moving much slower, so I'm going for 4 or 5 squats. My legs are starting to shake now because I haven't stopped the tension on the legs. So I'm under control, and you'll still see the slow movements of my ligaments and joints stabilizing everything, but here, because I'm holding and back up. So that was about 5-6 squats, but about 30 seconds of tension. So when you're actually trying to train your body, instead of counting the amount of squats, look at what your body's actually doing. So I went for less squats there, much slower, so I knew my control was better. I could see better what was going right and wrong, and then there's more more work on the muscles, so you're also working smarter, not harder. And when you're saying to your client, or when you're saying to someone at home, instead of doing 10 squats, if you're saying 5, that sounds a lot better. If they can go slower and come back up and feel the muscles burn in the right places, then they're going to start to learn what they're doing right and wrong. So when you get them to pump out 10 really fast squats 2 months later, and they're pumping out and they're like, oh, my technique's wrong, they'll start again. They'll know they're not doing it right, and then they get it better. So even if you're doing it right then and fast, you're more aware of using your glutes, which is your biggest muscle, that most of us don't use. Most of us don't use the glutes at all. On here now. I should really kind of rehearse this more. I didn't know it was going to be like a
no worries.
podcast.
Take your time, because we can cut it. There's no urgency. To just run through it.
It's just because Joanne Orty, a lot of it will be live.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But it'll be all small little segments, so I kind of know what I'm talking about, or like I know what the title is.
Now, in fairness, a lot of the footage that we got now, the footage, perfect. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
The footage here, because it's an older system, and there's plenty of technical reasons that I could give you. It's not perfect, so I started recording motion only instead of getting both motion in the camera footage.
Okay.
So we can still output the data, but the data will be a lot more accurate from now on.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
So what are we doing now?
So now we're going to go for squats with different equipment. So, squats, I got a chair and a cushion, a barbell. I don't need a barbell. What I'm trying to show here is that, yes, the squat is a movement, we all think we have the squat right, but our body's constantly under different challenges, and that's obviously how your body improves. But when I get you to do a squat or a barbell, and especially just say if your type of training is weight training, you'll get used to that movement, but then all of a sudden, because of the tension you're under, you're used to the tension, you're used to the challenge, but then, you're used to, the reason why, let's start that again. So the reason why I'm going to show you squatting with different equipment is because our body's constantly under different challenges. So again, the squat, we want to come down, and that's the full movement where we can relax and come back up. But again, to here, which is nearly halfway, that really hits the muscles. So if you really want to get a good leg burn and work those muscles, this is where we go. When you start going down lower, it's more about movement, range of motion, and mobility and flexibility. And coming back up, muscles again, still muscles, and then you're relaxing again. Now, we're going to go through the first half of the movement, which is down to here, pause, and come back up. With the different equipment, it's the same movement, but you'll see it's a different challenge. So again, they're not always the same. So let's start off with the barbell squat. Again, big classic exercise where a lot of people will come down and they try to stack a lot of weight on to create extra resistance. So they think they're working harder, which is great on paper, as long as the movement's correct. But again, getting your resistance right, and you're coming down. What a lot of people do then is coming down like this, and you'll see their knees coming forward, and they're back up like that. Now they think they've got the bar low, which is great. Their knees are strapped up because of years of abuse on the knees. But you'll see my knees going forward and my legs coming in together, and back up. Again, you'll see someone with a dominant side, might have one leg coming in and then pushing back off. So what we want to do is get that correct and coming down. So you're working your mobility first before stacking your weight up and going like that. Yes, it'll develop the quads only, but you're going to end up with other injuries because of it, because you're overdeveloped muscles and underdeveloped mobility around the same area. So you're coming down, pausing, and back up. Now, with the heavier resistance, you'll see the dominant side taking over again. But if we get a resistance band, it's slightly different, it's a different challenge. So it's again, this is forcing you down, but this is pushing you down and up at the same time. So I'm like this. Again, the last bar was like that, so my shoulders would be off straight away. Now it's here. I'm coming down, it's lighter, but up again. But again, I don't get that break. So because of the equipment changing, you get a different challenge, different tension. And if you're not used to one, then it becomes far more challenging. And back up like that. And then from there, obviously, you want to get the correct movement. So even if it's with that chair, you're coming down correctly and back up. So when you've got that bar, and it's heavy and you want to lift heavy, it's great and all, but when you're coming down and then you start to shift forward, that's where the chair and cushion comes in. You're standing tall, you're coming down, and now the whole movement of the body is that bit easier. Because it's all about the movement of the body. All these things, weights, resistance bands, kettlebells, they're all just a different type of resistance, a different type of challenge. But it always has to come down to the movement of the body rather than the movement of the weight or whatever. Deadlift, same thing. Another classic exercise is the Olympic deadlift, so it's done with the bar. Now, some of the best exercises for our bodies are very, very simple. It's a deep squat like that, and up, and a push-up will be another one. So it's a full body movement, down and up. We're always obviously trying to strive to do them better and more challenging, but with the deadlift is amazing, but the Olympic bar is only for sports in the Olympics. No one else should be doing this. Anatomically, it doesn't help your body at all. As I'm coming down, again, deep squat, it's great. I'm out in like that, chest out, I think everything's working well. I'm coming up, my knees get in the way. Have to pop my hips back and go the rest of the way. So I'm coming down. So you'll see it, two movements, up, up, down, up, up, down. We have to do that because the bar is in the way. It's an Olympic sport, fine, but if you're a professional sports player or anyone that's trying not to get injured, this is a very bad exercise because you're coming down, you're lifting up, after a couple of reps, your dominant side is going to start taking over. If you're right-handed, if you're right-legged, a few of these, you're lifting a big weight on a very small muscle in the lower back, the erector spinae, but it's a very small muscle that gets tired very, very easily. The movement is brilliant, apart from the bar getting in the way. So how do we change it up? In big gyms, commercial gyms, they'll have this hexagon bar. Perfect. A kettlebell, a dumbbell, anything that now sits in the middle, your ankles are running through. So when I'm down like that, you can see my hands running through my knees and up, far more comfortable. I can now lift the heavy weight I want to lift without the risk of really getting injured. Where if you look at the kettlebell just being dropped down like an anchor, with the barbell it was forward and then down because I'm trying to avoid the knees. Out like that. So we're doing those two different movements. And even with this 5 kg kettlebell, I can feel that in the lower back when not done correctly. There and there. That's what we want to avoid. So up and down. So again, on paper you're doing deadlifts, you think they're great, you have to look at your technique. You can use a hexagon bar, that's fine. You can use kettlebells, any resistance. So again, I'm going to show you resistance bands. So here, the kettlebell, it's heavy going down, we're going to lift it back up, but we can nearly control the fall. This is a lot tougher because it's already pulling you down. As opposed to just holding it, it's actually dragging me down. So like this, hands still go in between the knees, gets relaxed, and then here, now the tension comes on again. So it's a different challenge. And you can see my knees already going that bit more forward. So again, to adjust the technique. Back, and up. So it's the same movement, different pieces of equipment, and you'll see a different result. So one thing is, change up the resistance, change up the challenge.